Yeah, it was quite an interesting road in the last 2 years. I'm a business owner myself. Did bodybuilding before, so that was my sport, and was just looking for something else. And I made contact with Kenny. I said, God, please come and train me. But I was all the way in Harties, so I didn't think he was too keen at first. But yeah, at least he said he'll come and train me. And actually, we started building a like a relationship. Quite a transition from bodybuilding to MMA. I mean, I had to lose like 20 Ks. I had to get fit for the first time in my life. But there was so many wow factors of it. I mean, you don't learn about meditation when you're doing bodybuilding. Psychology is not really as deep as fighting. So there were so many things that were so awesome for me. And it actually took me out of this deep space in my life, and it almost saved me if I can get a little bit deeper. So I just felt I had to give a little bit something back to the sport. And myself and Cammy started talking and getting excited about ideas about more about fighting. Because MMA, it takes your life. I mean, look at yourself. MMA is your life. So it has this way of taking your life over. And then we started thinking, okay, we're going to start a business. So let's start a business together. And at first it was only clothing. And this was going to be a clothing brand. You can see I have my Versus shirt on today. So it was going to be a clothing brand. And as we went into the clothing, the discussions about the clothing, said, but let's do a proper MMA event. And yeah, here we are today, planning our first fight night, and very excited in that. So yeah, quite lacquer.
Fantastic, man. It's such an interesting point you made at the top there. When you kind of fall into MMA and you discover all of these nuances that involved in it, and it's a very similar thing to what hooked me, is like this MMA athletes on this constant pursuit to be the optimum human being, if that makes sense. You know, you've got to take wrestling and taekwondo and karate and BJJ, and so the list goes on, and Muay Thai, and then you've got to factor in strength and conditioning, and then you've got to factor in recovery, and then you've got to factor in mindset, and so it keeps going. And it's like this massive capsule of all of these things have to be done. And I think it's interesting to hear it's not only me who's a sucker to understand why these madmen like young Cameron Salmon are on this mission to become optimized there, Cammy.
Yeah, I think it was also cool, you know, seeing Jan coming from a totally different background and then starting to learn the physical aspects of fighting, and then he started falling in love with all the aspects of it. You know, he does the strength and conditioning side. He dabbles in the mental, the meditation and visualization as well. So it's pretty cool to see his training go to a state where it's almost to the point where that's how we train Cam. And I think we found a mutual love in sport like that, and we want to give that back to the amateur scene, and to, you know, grapplers and wrestlers. And we want to host a proper event where these guys can basically showcase their skills, and we want to do it as properly as possible when it comes to getting streaming right, getting the live events right. So I really can't wait for Fight Night 1 to happen. I think it's going to be an awesome event, and the amount is insane. So I think we're on the right path.
Okay, I just want to, I think, Jannie, on your side, I think it's something's quite loud and it's echoing and actually coming back.
Yeah.
So maybe try to turn the volume on whatever you're using down, because that's causing, like, the echoes actually being picked up. There we go. That's better.
Is that better?
Much better.
Much better.
Yeah. So just as Cammy was speaking, it was making like this whole echo and then coming back. So
yeah.
Perfect. But I think we got the most of it there. Thanks, Cammy. So guys, let's take a look at Versus. Your first show is underway. You said, as just before we started here, that there's a hell of a lot involved. Talk us through the steps and the process to getting your first event on the go.
If I can start, Gabby, the admin side of it, I mean, I don't want to mention that. That's not the lack of. But what was so like, if you guys go and look on social media, the effort that we put in there to promote an athlete, to That was all prior to with our meetings. We said we wanted to do this, but I didn't know how the other athletes. I'm fortunate enough to once or twice a week drive to CIT, and I meet a lot of the athletes there, and they're awesome guys. But going to House of Tinkerbell a couple of weeks back, meeting guys like Gift and Peace and Nate there, it was such a humble experience, and even made me want to do this even more. Listening to the athlete, what the athlete actually wants, how he's perceived MMA amateur events prior to us. We got to learn so much from the athlete, and when you get an athlete that almost go down on his knees to say thank you, and he's fighting for you. It's like, I want to thank you. You're fighting. Just that the whole culture made everything so much more worth it in the end. So yeah, so awesome. Some other things that I can talk about of finding an event or finding venues, getting everything right. I mean, the admin around it's hectic. Money wise, it's hectic. It's really to put on this type of show. You have to have like a deep pocket to be able to fund something like this. But you're so worth it, so worth it, sure.
Yeah, I it's one of the things that I think gets I don't think people think about it a lot, especially when it comes to an amateur promotion. And I've pulled up your guys' screen that we can play quickly. It's a hell of a process, and it's a hell of a financial process, and I don't think guys quite understand what's involved. And it's exciting to see you guys going a little bit above and beyond. You said like the athlete promotion themselves and that kind of thing. That's going to be very exciting to see. I'm just going to play this little clip so people.
How clean does it look? There's not one skull there. I can't see one skull there. Huh?
I'm gonna
just clean.
I'm just gonna play this so people that are watching can have a look if they haven't seen it. Yeah, sorry, I think your volume is still too loud because it's still picking up your thing. So I'm gonna restart that video if you don't mind.
Our volume is so I'm gonna put it off now.
Okay, thank you. What I'm gonna do is actually this. I'll mute you quickly, and then we'll have a look. Awesome. Okay, you should be unmuted there. There we go. So what was the inspiration to go and say we're gonna not only start this new event and come into the space, but on top of that we're gonna do this kind of go this extra mile and really promote the athletes involved?
Well, I think it was I think it was a mutual understanding between Jan and I that we want to have athletes that are super proud to fight for versus, and a big part of that is doing marketing for them. I think that's one of the biggest values we can add to an athlete's career, especially if these guys are banking on sponsorships. You want that content, you want to be able to give that to a potential sponsor. Listen, this is what I'm a part of, and this is what we're working towards. And this is the fun part of the sport. We want to get fans hyped about our events. We want people to engage with both the fighters and the whole versus team. Luckily, we have enough resources and people that are willing to help us build the versus brand. So I really can't wait to see potential fight nights and the footage and the streaming, the videos, the photos we can get from that, and just help market our athletes and help market our future events as well.
Cam, if I can, while you're on it, what sort of what sort of advantage do you think you bring to the fold? Obviously, just kind of left this space, and now in that pro space. I mean, we all know you're the young up and coming talent that everybody's watching, and now have quite a big input with regards to an amateur event. Is there stuff that you picked up as an amateur that you're now saying, guys, let's not neglect X, Y, Z, and those kind of things?
Yeah, most definitely. You know, I'm very fortunate. I fought a bunch of times in kickboxing. We did grappling events. We did amateur MMA events as well. And I really can't complain with what we had as amateurs. You know, I think the guys had great events for the resources they had. And then obviously we want to build off that, and not to say that we think we can do it better in terms of stuff like marketing, having the right people there, having the show look amazing, and also a big part streaming is we have partnered with some great people to make sure that not only the people that are there live can see it, but we can make sure that we can stream it for anyone. You know, we have had a lot of messages come in from people from overseas saying they either live in Mauritius or in England, and they would still want to support South African athletes and South African fighters. So we are in the works to make that happen so that the people can still see it no matter where they go. Yeah.
Fantastic, man. Jannie, sorry, I have to keep muting you, otherwise it goes a bit strange. So I'm just going to keep doing that. Jannie, if I can ask you, what is, obviously Cammy's mentioned the streaming. We've obviously seen your guys' card. You're going quite hard at what's available in terms of prospects of amateur MMA. What would you say are the goals of Versus right now, looking past the first event onto the second and third?
Perfect.
Still there?
Jan?
Hello. I think we've lost Jannie there.
Okay.
Well, you're gonna have to answer that question then, young Cam Simon.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, I think a big goal for now is to have Fight Night 1 happen. You know, I think it's a big priority for us to have this first event go, you know, as well as we have planned it. I think Jan touched on it. The amount of admin that goes into an event like this is insane. But we have also done insanely amounts of preparations to make sure that this event goes as smoothly as possible. And we expect things to go wrong. So with the first few events, we would like to plan, you know, just, you know, figuring out the kinks, if you can say it like that, you know, to make sure that we keep on getting these high profile amateur fighters. On our card now, we have a guy like Peace. He's ranked number 2 welterweights at amateurs, and he's fighting the number 1 welterweight Gilor King. So, you know, we want to keep on making fights like that happen with, you know, Versus Fight Night 2 and 3. And we have so many fighters contacting us to compete. So we are very excited to where our Fight Night League is going. And also a big part of our plan is to travel. We want to maybe within, if it's not the next, it will be the event after that. We would like to host events in the Western Cape and in Durban. So it's not only going to be a thing that is hosted in Pretoria. So we are in talks with the guys in those provinces to make the events happen there as well.
Okay, amazing. That's always a benchmark at the moment, is to see an amateur promotion travel. I think Fight Stars tried it at a point, and they went to Polokwane. I think that was when Rudy Ritz was still the star boy of Fight Star. Yes. And I know their plan was to travel beyond like Cape Town and so on, but it never really came to fruition. So that's exciting to see. It's going to be interesting how that all works out. Jan, are you back? We can see your name.
I'm on my cell phone. I hope it's better.
No problem. You want to maybe just switch your video on, then we can see you. And then I think what we can do is just have a little look at the card, and let's see how that's all going to pan out come fight night. There we go.
There we go.
Cool. You as you mentioned, Cammy, Peace versus King. How was that? You're sitting making a fight card. You're the new kids on the block, first event. How do you decide who's going to be at the top of that card? How hard was that decision?
Well, I must say, we have a great matchmaker working for Versus now, and it's EFC featherweight Stefan De La Rey. So he is our acting matchmaker. So he is working on building these fight cards, and he should get full credit for this. And I must say, looking at the fight card, it's super impressive. I think a big part of what we wanted to do was we wanted to build a card around a cool main and co-main event. Now we were planning on having 2 title fights. Unfortunately, one of our title fights fell through. So we're gonna actually just move that to a later date. But we still have the welterweight championship with Peace and Giolor. I think that was a no-brainer. Taking number 1 and number 2 at welterweight, making them scrap on our first card is a good way to open up, launch our Versus brand. And then we had the guys like Nathaniel Kamana. I know him personally. I fought his teammate Gift Walker as well. We know what talent they have in that gym. And so we made contact with these gyms that have good amateur programs, and we could make our main and co-main events happen.
Fantastic, man. I like we've gone quite hard. Is there going to be a Versus belt? We're waiting to see what that looks like. Jannie, come on.
Versus belts. Yeah, Versus belts are coming soon. They are in the making. We'll do a product shoot probably next week, and then that will be released on social media as well.
Jannie, could you imagine yourself 5 years ago having to source and find a place that could make a belt?
I'm happy. Like he's saying that what a difficult way to get something done. I mean, South Africa is so small in MMA, but yeah, Cameron actually got someone to help us with that, and on very short notice. So yeah, and it's looking cool. So I'm very glad for that.
And another fight I want to mention here is Hanru Enslan versus Alex Owolaja, Mr. Jones. I think that's a cracking welterweight fight. Obviously, they'll have keen eyes, and there's, to be honest, Richard Berger has been around a long time. Timner's also from the same gym as Jones, and so it carries on. How hard was it to decide on a number of fights? I know we've been quite critics of long fight cards, but I know in the amateurs you want to get through as many guys as you can. Was there any reservations as going as hard as 18 fights on a night?
Yeah, we tried to cap it at 18 fights. I've been to events where I was maybe the last or second last fight, and the only fight at 12 at night. And for an athlete and for fans, it sucks. So our plan for this fight night is to start a little bit earlier, and we want to be finished no later than 9:30 or 10 o'clock. I think it will be a disservice to the fans and the athletes to expect them to fight at 12. It's insane. You can't have them warm up, at 11 o'clock. So we have a proper operational procedure when it comes to our undercard. We're going to have very strict rules when how much time there is in between fights. And then, we want to give the amateur guys on our main card, we want to give them that pro experience. So we want to have them be comfortable. We want them to have enough time to be comfortable walking out and experiencing the whole event for what it is, but no midnight main event. We're not going to do that.
Plus you're going to go over curfew as well, so you're going to have to be out of there
that too. That's it.
Playing a bit of devil's advocate. one of the things that's going to come up, and I remember it happening with the last nationals. Actually, there was an event before nationals, and there was a whole bit of saga about keeping guys fresh for the nationals. Do you guys have any concerns for guys like Peace, for example, that's competing this weekend in nationals and then supposed to be headlining for you guys a few weeks later? I mean, obviously injuries and stuff can happen in the sport.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Well, it can happen. You can get a concussion, or he can hurt his shin or whatever. We know those possibilities are there. We are trusting and praying that will not be the case. Luckily, MMA SA is also regulating all the nationals, and I think they have strict health and safety protocols as well. So hopefully we do not have a lot of guys that pull out because they are fighting this weekend. That being said as well, we have so many guys that are on weight and willing to fight. So if it happens that Steph is going to have his hands full, if that happens, but if it should happen that someone should pull out, we will make a plan. I think we would like to have at least 15 fights on our first card, and we would like at least one title fight. And to make that happen, I don't think it's too hard. Luckily, we have a whole country of guys that are so hungry to fight. We are bringing in 7 guys from East London as well, so we have the resources to bring those guys in. We made sure they have accommodation so that they can fight here as well. To make that happen for guys coming from Durban or Cape Town is also very possible. So, we have plan Bs and Cs in place.
Awesome. Jannie, for you, again, a bit of a devil advocate's question. Obviously, at the head of the promotion, there's an obvious relationship between yourself and CRT, and cards being built in and around using guys from CRT. What did you say to people fearing favoritism towards CRT guys, for example?
I knew I was going to get this question. They are awesome gyms. I mean, there's no ways about it. And it's not comparing gyms or anything like that. So, but they're really awesome. When the fight card was built, Steph came to us and showed us the different fighters that can fight. And I think from my side, he chose the best fighters to fight, and he didn't even go to say, but this guy's from CIT, and that's why he's fighting. He explained, because we knew this was going to happen. We knew this was going to be said in the industry and like on media. So the whole time he had to prove to us this is why the CIT person is fighting. So we were actually a little bit saying that the fairness of the whole thing. So I believe that after the night's fights, we would see that the CIT guy fighting there is worth his space as a fighter.
Okay, so
if that answers your question.
So give Versus the chance to prove themselves before claiming bias is what I'm going to say to all of you fans out there.
Yeah. I think also you can see it in the fight card as well, and a good example of that is Andre Ensland fighting Alex. I think, Alex is a big prospect coming out of FFM, and who does not like a CIT FFM matchup?
Absolutely.
And we have these great coaches that are working with Steph, and we made sure that these guys are happy we do not want mismatches to happen. So if coaches contact us and say, listen, we think this is a mismatch, we're not going to force any fight onto a fighter or a coach. So we really want to make sure that all gyms get what they're worth, and with a fight like Hanru, giving him a good guy from FFM is what he needs now. Moving over to the pro team, I think it's going to be a good test for both of them. And I think so far we haven't had any problems with teams or coaches being unhappy with our matchmaking. And I think my head goes off to Steph that does that super well. you know, so he chats to them every single day. He travels also to meet up with the gyms and with the coaches, and so far it's going good.
The question on everybody's mind, the one that I keep hearing the most when they talk about Versus is, are we going to see Versus enter the space of having pro fights? That's one I really have to ask.
Jan, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, Cameron smiles telling a story already.
For now, no. I think we have a lot to learn from guys like EFC. They've opened the African market so awesome. I mean, they've bought MMA. They've made MMA big in South Africa already. So for the moment, we can't take on a king like that, and we're not there, and we have to learn so much still before we get into a space like that. Of course, we're dreaming. Of course, we're sitting around the table and say this will be awesome, or this will be awesome. But no, for now, we're getting so much out of organizing these amateur events that we feel so blessed. So we don't need anything like that or to dream that big at the moment. What we need for now, we're getting. So no, we won't be, not soon.
Okay. And talking about dreaming, Jannie, what is your vision for this year? How many events do you have in mind, and what's the plan for Versus from here moving to the end of the year?
Remember, now, anything I say, they will fight me on, and they fight better than me. So yeah, it would be lovely to have another fight, let's say in Joburg, and then at least a fight in Durban and a fight in Cape Town. So we're looking at, let's say, 4 fights for this year. Maybe we can be impressive and do 1 or 2 more, but 4 additional point total.
Fantastic. That's really, really good news. Well, guys, I think that's about all the questions and all the intrigue I have for now. Obviously, we'll have a few more along the way. Oh, wait, sorry, there's one more. People are going to ask, obviously, COVID protocols. The first thing that I've already actually received messages is, are there going to be fans allowed to some limited capacity, or are we going to go strictly with streaming and no fans under COVID protocols?
Go and check Howler. It will be our window for streaming. We are busy negotiating with a restaurant to have a separate session where they'll be able to view it, but COVID rules still will apply to the fighting side of it. So yeah, we'll open it up on Howler, and they'll be able to see if there's a table available, or if there is or if they want to stream.
Okay, fantastic. Well, obviously,
and Driekus, and Cameron will be commentating, so I think the streaming will be worth it.
Awesome. I'm gonna try keep throwing Cameron off while he's commentating to really put him to the test.
I'm gonna try. My.
Anyways, guys, it sounds amazing. It looks amazing. Congratulations, and a big thank you from the community. We are in desperate need of more amateur promotion, so it's really a breath of fresh air to see people stepping up and standing up, and the financial side, Jannie, as we know, the commitment of time. I can't emphasize that enough. Even besides money and stuff like that, is giving up your time, your personal time, to go and put in such an effort to put these things on. So we really lift our hat to you guys and wish you nothing of the best. And you'll always have a friend at MMA Republic. If you guys need any help, we're always here to help. And good luck for fight night, and we'll hopefully see you guys there. And to all the athletes competing, best of luck, man.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day, and we'll chat to you soon.